Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Diddy or Didn't He here on the RadioMisfits.com podcast platform. I am Pugs Moran, host of The Rant every day, talk radio for normal Americans every day, Monday through Friday, around about 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on RadioMisfits.com. It's talk radio for normal people because we don't get bogged down in all the political nonsense. You know, every other talk show in America, you really need to have voted the same way as the host. I say no to that. We do talk radio for normal people. We don't let politics enter into any of this stuff. We talk about the world. We talk about stuff that's happening. You don't know how I voted, and I don't care how you voted. It's The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, every Monday through Friday right here on RadioMisfits.com. But this is Diddy or Didn't He? This is our nightly exploration of everything that's happening there in the Manhattan courtroom, where Sean Diddy Combs, hip-hop mogul, business entrepreneur, raconteur, bon vivant. He is a man with the Midas touch. Everything he touches turned to gold until recently. And now it's all coming apart. And we cover it every single night that court is in session. We will bring you the latest in Diddy or Didn't He with me, Pugs Moran. Now, today was a very big day. Well, for lack of a better, we didn't have trial for the last 4 days. We just experienced a nice little Memorial Day break. And although I love doing this show every night, it is a lot of work. It's not hard work because I'm totally interested in it. So it's not like, tedious or anything. But it was nice to have a little 4-day Memorial Day weekend break. But now we're back in court. And oh my goodness, folks, was today one hell of a day in court. We heard from one person. One person testified for the entire day. And it was somebody who I didn't really think, I guess I didn't really know, but, I was excited to hear from Cassie. I was excited to hear from Cudi. But when it got to the name Capricorn Clark, I wasn't sure what to expect. Well, Capricorn Clark, former personal assistant to Diddy, the third personal assistant that we've heard from now, she took the stand today and, if you listen to this show, you know that for each of the 9 shows that we've done, the 9 days in court, I've told you that I do not think that the prosecution had a good day. It's been pretty consistent. It is 9-0, the defense, as far as I'm concerned. The defense is knocking down. The prosecution is not proving their case. I believe the prosecution, and I have believed now for 9 days, that they overcharged this guy. That they could have gotten him. He probably couldn't even gone to jail for like a year or two if they had just gone with abuse or violence, domestic abuse, whatever. But they didn't. They went with the life imprisonment charges of conspiracy and racketeering and global sex trafficking and all of these things that the prosecution has not done a good job of proving. They haven't even really suggested it yet. They've been doing nothing but talking about freak-offs in his sexual peccadillos and these humiliating stories with his mom there in the front row about, what he likes to do sexually. None of that had anything to do with what he was being charged with. So it had been, in my estimation, 9 straight days of defense victories in court. That changed today. Today was the first day that I felt like the prosecution had a really good day, and that was with Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark, former personal assistant to Diddy, the third personal assistant that we've heard from. Hold on, excuse me. Had to clear my throat there. The third personal assistant that we've heard from now in this trial, and she brought the goods. Capricorn Clark took the stand and essentially was able to tie together a whole bunch of the individual stories that we've heard the past 2 weeks from Cassie and from Cudi and from a couple of the other personal assistants that we've heard from. Let's get started right now. The very first thing that she stated on the stand, Capricorn Clark, ex-assistant to Diddy, she worked for him between 2004 and 2012, 8 years. So it's a lot of time, I imagine. that she spent there with Diddy. She said once in December of 2011, she was kidnapped by Diddy. She claims that she was kidnapped. The Bad Boy Records founder took Clark to a deserted Central Park after dark with his security guard to issue a stark warning to her since she used to work with Suge Knight. Okay, so there's a little backstory. So before Capricorn Clark was Diddy's personal assistant, she was Suge Knight's personal assistant. Now, Suge Knight, as we've learned, Suge Knight and Diddy hate each other. And it seems weird that he would hire Suge Knight's personal assistant to be his new personal assistant. I mean, wouldn't you be suspicious of that? Well, apparently he was. And early on in her employ with Diddy, after having left Suge Knight, Diddy took her to a dark and deserted Central Park with his bodyguards. It says here she was also Suge Knight's. The Bad Boy Records founder took Capricorn Clark to a deserted Central Park after dark with his security guards to issue a stark warning to her since she used to work with Suge Knight, who was also the father of her best friend's kids. So apparently this Capricorn Clark worked for Diddy for 8 years. She was seemingly sort of tied in a familial sense to Suge Knight, what with, her best friend being the mama of Suge Knight's kids. It says here, excuse me, he told me, this is what happened in Central Park. This is what Capricorn Clark testified to with Diddy. He told me that he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and that if anything happened, he would have to kill me, Clark said, who worked for Combs for 8 years. So, okay, so the prosecution is trying to establish that Diddy ran his operation, his business, which was seemingly above board. Diddy ran his empire like a global crime boss, an organized crime guy. So they've done nothing to show us that is how he acts. He's a bad boyfriend. He's a domestic abuser. He beats the snot out of his girlfriends and he likes kinky sex and all that weird shit. He engages in prostitution. Okay, there's another thing you could probably ring him up for. But we have really seen or heard no examples of him actually behaving in a way that the prosecution would want us to believe he lives his life. Until today, Capricorn Clark. This is a very well-articulated moment in time that the jury now has in their heads of Diddy taking his assistant to Central Park, an intimidation move after dark, deserted spot, bunch of security guards. And then he said, if you have anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happens, I will kill you, Clark testified. Capricorn Clark claims that she's also owed $80,000 from Combs. She worked for him for those 8 years, as we've said. She says she worked from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. during shifts where she couldn't take breaks or even eat meals. Clark was making $65,000 a year. Whoa, my God. He was paying that white man. Remember that white guy? Remember I said that he had a personal assistant who looked like he should be teaching your daughter how to drive cars? He had a white guy, he had like a middle-aged white guy personal assistant who looked like a driver's ed teacher. He was paying that guy $125,000. Holy cow. But Capricorn Clark was pissed off when she found out she was only making $65,000. Clark was making $65,000 as the Bad Boy Records assistant, and she was also the head of human resources. She told Combs that he owed her $80,000 in overtime for a 3-month period, to which Combs responded by ripping up the paper. So there you go. So she's never been paid. He's owed her $80,000 now, it looks like, for about a decade. She was also forced, she testified today during her employ with Diddy, she was forced to take lie detector tests. This is the second personal assistant now that we've heard was sort of strong-armed into taking lie detector tests because stupid Diddy gets all fucked up on drugs and misplaces something. And then he assumes that it's his personal assistant who stole that $400,000 watch that he sometimes forgets he even has. So she was taken to an abandoned skyscraper, it says. How does everything this guy do sounds like he is? It sounds like he's a Marvel villain. got abandoned skyscrapers at his disposal where he can just get a lie detector guy to come in for the day. And she said it was a couple of days. Clark told jurors that Combs' bodyguard, Uncle Paulie Oford, came to her home and forced her to come with him to an abandoned skyscraper after Combs' diamond necklace and watch went missing while she was transporting them. All right, so, well, you were transporting them. I mean, I would say you seem like the person I'd like. This is not out of line. We're probably talking about $500,000 worth of jewelry. He's a guy who has $500,000 with jewelry. He can probably hire a lie detector guy to put his, house staff through the ringer if he needs to find. That's not crazy. There's nothing crazy about that. The abandoned skyscraper is a little bit theatrical and very cool, by the way. I'll tell you. Say what you will about Diddy. He does have a flair for the badass. The abandoned skyscraper with I imagine a guy, looks like the smoking man from the X-Files. Imagine him sitting at like a folded card table with like some janky ass lie detector machine there. This is all very theatrical. I love it. Clark says that she underwent a whopping 5 full days of lie detector tests before being told that she could finally return to work. Everybody passes these tests. The other guy, the guy that was on the stand last week, the personal assistant, he also went through multi days of lie detector tests only to be told, yeah, you're fine. Diddy found his watch. It was in the couch. Let's see here. She also testified, Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, today that there was baby oil everywhere. Again with the baby oil. I keep saying that before this trial started, I thought the baby oil thing was just a punchline, just kind of a joke. But no, now that we're neck deep into this trial, there is baby oil everywhere. This guy really was crazy about his baby oil. She says, I could see handprints that were left on the ultra suede wall of the Hotel Intercontinental, Clark would tell the jury. It was just a lot of baby oil everywhere. It wasn't just necessarily on the wall either. So baby oil everywhere. By the way, what's that? What's an ultra suede wall? Is that like some fancy, expensive hotel wallpaper kind of treatment, kind of a deal? Let's see. What else do we have here? The Kid Cudi incident. Okay, so we wanted to hear from this because during the Kid Cudi testimony from last week, we learned that Diddy had broken into Cudi's house. Here's how it went down. Diddy found out that Cassie was in a relationship with Kid Cudi. Diddy and Cassie were on again, off again at this point. They were not exclusive. Let's establish that. On again, off again. So Diddy finds out about Cassie and Cudi. How did he find out about Cassie and Cudi? Well, Cassie told Diddy. Cassie's the one who did this whole thing. Cassie told Diddy. Cassie told Diddy that she was also with Cudi, and she knew what would happen. She knows Diddy is an immature. He can't handle that. So started a whole thing. So Diddy, upon finding out that Kid Cudi is hooking up with his ex-girlfriend, or maybe soon to be girlfriend again, whatever. 2 crazy kids. So Diddy flips out and Diddy goes over to Cudi's house. Cudi's not there. Diddy kind of ransacks the house. Now we know about this because Cassie, when Diddy stormed out, heading over to Cudi's house, Cassie immediately then calls Cudi and goes, he knows about us. And Cudi's like, well, how'd he find out? Right? I don't know if she said, I told him, but whatever. He said, okay, I'm going to be staying at this hotel. You come stay at this hotel with me. So Cudi and Cassie go to a hotel. Diddy is on his way over to Cudi's house to trash the place or find Cudi or whatever. Cassie, now at the hotel with Cudi, calls Capricorn Clark, who is on the stand today. Cassie calls Capricorn Clark, Diddy's assistant. She says, what's going on? What's going on? And Capricorn Clark is like, yo, girl, this is out of control. Yo, mans is in Cudi's house right now. Well, how do you know this? And, Cudi testified last week that Capricorn Clark had the phone on speaker. And she said, because I'm out in front of your house, Diddy's inside, I'm waiting in the car. So while Diddy is trashing the house, Capricorn Clark is in the car speaking with Cassie and Cudi back at the hotel. Okay, so we're all caught up. So let's get into the Kid Cudi incident from the perspective of Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark told jurors the hip-hop mogul, Diddy, said that he was going to kill Kid Cudi after discovering that he was dating Cassie Ventura. Clark said that Diddy came to her apartment livid and holding a gun in hand, telling her, get dressed, we're going to kill this, and then the N-word. I don't say the N-word. So get this, right? So the assistant is at her apartment, and Diddy comes over. This boss, come on, I'm not working. I'm at home. What, some boundaries here, boss? Diddy comes over to her apartment, and he's got a gun in his hand, and he's kind of like freaking out. I'm gonna kill the motherfucker. You know, he's doing that whole thing. And so he drags her. He says, get dressed. We're going to kill this N. Capricorn Clark's like, God, Jesus, I make 65 grand a year. Combs asked Capricorn Clark why she didn't tell him that his longtime on-again, off-again girlfriend Ventura had been seeing Kid Cudi. Capricorn Clark responded, I had never seen anything like this before, she told jurors. He had never come to my house the entire time I'd known him. I'd never even seen him with a weapon before. Capricorn Clark got into a black Escalade with Combs and sat on his lap while he still had the gun in his hand, Clark recounted. How many boys were rolling in that thing? They were going to look for Cudi. They must have had like the whole crew up in there if she had to ride in the... Come on, those Escalades are big. Probably like 8 people before you need to start putting chicks on people's laps. Once they arrived at Cudi's house, Combs went inside while Capricorn Clark remained in the car. This is where the phone conversation that we heard about last week happens. Puff then came and here's a quote now from Capricorn Clark. Puff came and got me from inside the house or from outside of the car with a gun and took me inside Cudi's house to find him and kill him, Clark testified. Again, very big points here now for the prosecution. You have motivation and you have real intent, and you're trying to depict that Sean Diddy Combs carried himself like a gangster. He carried himself like an organized crime boss. And this is the only time so far in 10 days of trial where we have really seen any kind of description of that kind of behavior that the prosecution claims is how he lived his life. So this is a very big day for the prosecution. Let's see here. Sean Diddy Combs viciously kicked Cassie. Okay, so here's another. Capricorn Clark is now introducing another incident that she witnessed of Cassie being physically abused by Diddy. Sean Diddy Combs viciously kicked Cassie the same day that he broke into Kid Cudi's home after discovering the rapper had been seeing Ventura. Diddy, wearing underwear and a robe in his Los Angeles mansion, started kicking Ventura in the thigh and leg with 100% full force after he found out that his longtime on-again, off-again girlfriend Cassie had a fling with Cudi. Capricorn Clark said, she didn't do anything, she testified. She was just crying silently while he kicked her. My heart was breaking seeing her get beat like that, Clark said, at one point dabbing her eyes with a tissue as she quietly teared up. Earlier that day, Combs kidnapped Clark. Okay, here we go. Here's the kidnapping thing. She alluded to this in her opening statement. Earlier that day, Combs kidnapped Clark while holding a gun and threatening to kill Kid Cudi after forcing Clark to come along while he broke into the rapper's home. Okay, we've been over that. Clark eventually drove Ventura to Combs's house, where he then assaulted Ventura and told Clark he would fuck her up if she intervened. Okay, so here we go. So here's the day of the house break-in. Early morning, remember, because this happened at 6 o'clock in the morning. Diddy finds out that Cassie's with Cudi. Okay, I believe it's because Cassie told him, because Cassie was there. So Diddy finds out that Cassie's with Cudi. Okay, Diddy flies off the handle 6 o'clock in the morning and is now going to head over to Cudi's house and beat the hell out of him. Cassie picks up the phone and calls Cudi. Diddy knows about us. He's on the way over. Cudi says, okay, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to check into a hotel. Come meet me at the hotel. Cassie goes to the hotel and meets with Cudi. Diddy is on his way over to Cudi's house, which is now empty. Nobody's there. In the car outside of Cudi's house, while Diddy is inside, is Capricorn Clark, the assistant to Diddy. While Capricorn Clark is sitting in the car there while Diddy's inside Cudi's house, her phone rings and it's Cassie. Girl, where you at? Girl, I'm out in front of Cudi's house. Cudi's sitting right next to Cassie as she says that. Okay? So Cudi and Diddy then have a phone conversation of their own. Cudi gets in his car, starts driving over to his house, knowing that Diddy's over there. Cudi calls Diddy, yo, man, you're in my house. Remember that? You're in my house, dude. Like, that's what Cudi said to him. Diddy said, oh, man, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, I'm on my way over. We'll finish this. So Cudi is on his way over to his house where Diddy is. When Cudi arrives at the house, Diddy's gone. Diddy's gone. Capricorn Clark is gone. Now Cudi's in the house all by himself. Remember, Cudi's like, he went through a bunch of presents because it's Christmas time. This is December. Cudi's like, he opened up a bunch of presents that I had wrapped for family members and, shit like that. But other than that, there you go. That's the break-in. So now Cudi, remember, Cudi was, before this, he was at the hotel with Cassie. Okay? But now Cassie somehow is talking to Capricorn Clark again, Diddy's assistant, and Capricorn Clark says, girl, I'm going to come and get you. Diddy needs to talk to you. So now Cassie, even though she's at the safety of the hotel where Cudi is supposed to be, she goes and she gets in the car with Capricorn Clark, and Capricorn Clark takes Cassie back to Diddy's house. Diddy's still pissed. Diddy didn't find Cudi at the house. He's still ranting and raving. Capricorn Clark delivers Cassie back to Diddy. Diddy kicks the shit out of her. There you go. Now we're all... Capricorn Clark watches Diddy kicking the shit out of her. My heart was breaking seeing her get beat like that, Clark said. At one point, dabbing her eyes with a tissue as she quietly teared up. All right, so there you go. That's the whole day. So that is Diddy on the warpath as some kind of like just law-breaking global crime boss. This is why I say today was the best day for the prosecution. The score is now 9-1. 9-1. After 10 days of trial, the defense has won 9 days. But the prosecution, are they putting a rally together? Some other interesting things that we learned about. Did you know that Diddy has a problem with 50 cents? Oh, sure, maybe you do. Maybe it's common knowledge. But it was testified to today in the trial. Sean Diddy Combs once implied that he might use a gun on 50 Cent, with whom he's had a long-standing beef. Bad Boy Records founder Diddy once griped to his manager, Chris Lightly, about his feud with 50 Cent after the two rappers left an MTV press event. Combs' ex-assistant, Capricorn Clark, told jurors today. Here's what Diddy said to his manager about 50. Diddy said, I don't like all the back and forth. I like guns. Clark recalled Combs telling his manager in an elevator leading from the event. After Cassie's bombshell testimony about being forced into freak-off sex sessions, and detailing repeated beatings by her longtime boyfriend, 50 Cent recently spoke out on Instagram. Here's what 50 had to say about the whole Diddy thing. He said, damn, he did all that shit to go out like this, shaking my head. The 49-year-old rapper wrote, this shit's crazier than just regular crazy. Yeah, well, I don't know. 50 Cent's got a lot of money too, though, right? But he ain't like in the Diddy. Diddy's like a whole different kind of. Let's see. What else from Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant who occupied the entire day 10 on the stand today. Capricorn Clark told jurors that the rapper's longtime girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, had talent, but wasn't very talented. See, now this is, no matter how much good stuff you think happens for the prosecution, there's always going to be something that the defense can work with. This is something the defense can work with. The idea that Cassie didn't make it as a big star, not because Diddy was controlling the puppet strings and, intentionally destroyed her career. But the idea that Cassie ain't that great, that Cassie is just a really hot-looking girl who has very limited talent. We've heard this a couple of different times in a couple of different ways, but nothing articulated quite as to the point as today with Capricorn Clark. Here's what it says. Jurors told jurors that Cassie Ventura, quote, had talent, but wasn't very talented. She also went on to say, quote, I think she had talent and is a very beautiful girl. Clark said when asked about Ventura's talent, I think she had talent and she's a very beautiful girl. Well, she had talent, but wasn't very talented. All right. Well, so, that's probably the case, man. She's a dime a dozen beautiful girl. Do you know how many absolutely gorgeous women there are out there? Oh my God, they're a dime a dozen. Not all of them have talent to boot. Some of them just have to marry like rich dentists, or, some of them, they all can't be Britney Spears or Mariah Carey or whoever. I don't know. Maybe those were bad examples. But my point is, Christina Aguilera, there you go. She's beautiful and she has real talent. She can sing. Let's see here. I think she had talent and was a very beautiful girl. Combs' lawyer. All right, so here you go. Here comes the cross. Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, pressed Cassie further on the topic of... No. Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, pressed Capricorn further on the topic of Cassie's talent, asking, she wasn't very talented, was she? Capricorn Clark responded, true. Clark clarified that she thought Ventura was a, quote, studio artist who needed her voice equalized and engineered and was less of a live performer in the caliber of Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston. Clark's opinions came out after Agnifilo asked her if she sometimes didn't get along with Ventura. So I don't know if there was like an issue. Like, I wonder, Cassie being the girlfriend, does she have a good relationship with the personal assistants, or is she kind of a bitch? I don't know. We'll find out. Sean Diddy Combs' ex-assistant testified that she once went on a vacation with singer Rihanna back in August of 2012. Oh, just named apropos of absolutely nothing. She just let it drop that, I'm friends with Rihanna. We go on vacations together. Yeah, I'm wondering who picks up the tab. Capricorn Clark, Combs' employee between 2004 and 2012, was asked by Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, what she was doing in August of 2012, to which she responded, I was on vacation with Rihanna. Ooh, mic drop. And then finally, here, this was the only thing that I thought was a real problem for Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, who took the stand all day today. The issue of why she is no longer Diddy's assistant. Okay. What happened? Why are you Diddy? Why aren't you Diddy? How did you, why did you quit? There you go. Let's just ask it that way, because that's how the process. Why did you quit? Why do you no longer work? Why did you quit? Why did you quit? Why did you quit? I don't think she quit. Quite frankly, when you hear the answer, I'm like, she didn't quit. That sounds like she got fired. All right, you can frame it any way you want. Sean Diddy Combs' ex-assistant Capricorn Clark testified that the hip-hop mogul once ran at her, shoving her 25 to 30 yards after she said that she hated working for him. Clark said, I hate it here, in front of Combs' chef at his Miami Beach home, which the chef then repeated to Diddy. All right, so she's in the kitchen with the chef in the Miami Beef home, and she's like, Miami Beef. I would open up a roast beef sandwich shop in Miami. I'd call it Miami Beef. That's good. There you go. Write that down. Miami Beef. So she's in the kitchen, and she says, I hate working here. And the chef, the little bitch, runs to Diddy. Could you imagine coworkers being like that? Well, I guess maybe. I guess there are a lot of coworkers like that. So she said, I hate it here, in front of the chef. And the chef went and told Diddy right away. Let's see here. He immediately looked at me and said, you hate it here? This is Diddy. So Diddy's like, you hate it here? And then he charged me. Capricorn Clark told the jury. He ran towards me with his hands open and charged at my shoulders. Okay. All right. So far this sounds pretty bad. He started screaming, "If you hate it here, get the fuck out of my house," Combs said after launching Clark a dozen feet away. So he threw her. He said, "If you hate it here, get the fuck out of my house." And then he threw her. Combs' security guard intervened and told Clark to pack her things and get out. She said she stopped working for the rapper after the incident. Yeah, because you got fired. You got fired. You didn't. You don't act like she worked for him for 8 years. Okay. She sat in a car. Well, he said, "We're going to go kill Kid Cudi. Come on." She did all of this shit with him. And now she's like, "Yeah, I just, when he came at me after I said I couldn't, that was the last." Here's what she said. She said, "That was crossing my boundary." You got fired, woman. You got fired. You got fired. You said, "I don't want to be here." He said, "Well, if you don't want to be here, get the fuck out." And he threw you across his floor, and then his security guards escorted you out of the fucking building. You were fired. What are you talking about? A boundary? That was a boundary. Here's her quote. "That was crossing my boundaries." You were thrown out. Stop it. These people, man. There are no victims here. There are all just willing participants in this madman Diddy's fucking personal university created. That's all this is. All of these people suck. They all suck. That was crossing my boundary. You were fired, bitch. You said some shit. He heard you. You were thrown across the room. You were told to get out. And then security told you to collect your things and they walked you to the gate. Don't talk to me about boundaries. Okay? All right. And that's about it. That was it. That was it for the day, man. That was the entire day was Capricorn Clark. Who do we have tomorrow? I think tomorrow we have another person who's going to be taking a trial ended for the day shortly after 3:00. Thank you again, Judge Subramanian, doing an unbelievable job of keeping this trial on track, on speed, no delays. We had a couple of days ago, we had a crazy day of sidebars. It was like 2 hours of court time was done with sidebars. That sucked. But other than that, Subramanian, this judge, he has been keeping this thing on schedule, and we do appreciate that. Ended for the day. It's ending just about every day at 3:00 Eastern time. The trial ended for the day shortly after 3 p.m. and tomorrow an officer with the Los Angeles Police Department is expected to testify first. Another alleged Combs victim, so another victim whose name we don't know, is testifying anonymously under the name of Mia. So Mia is expected to potentially take the stand tomorrow. Mia, we've heard of before. If you remember, during the times that Diddy was dating Cassie, his personal assistant, this was last week, I'm not sure which personal assistant this was, but one of Diddy's personal assistants was asked about the women in Diddy's life and where did they rank. And if you remember, he said, well, there was Cassie and then there was Mia, and they were the girlfriends. But then there was Kim Porter. Kim Porter was the mother of his children, and she was sort of the most important one. So we heard about Mia in the context of her being another girlfriend who was, at least through the eyes of this personal assistant, on the same level as Cassie, which again speaks to this whole thing about Cassie claiming that she was being held against her will and that her career was being, threatened if she didn't do everything that he's. It's starting to look like, or at least the defense is allowing a slight narrative to be told now that maybe Cassie wasn't even that important, that she is delusional, that all of this is just her blowing it up in her head. So anyway, that's one of the things that the defense is trying to do. And tomorrow we're going to hear from Mia. So it'll be interesting to find out where Mia saw herself in that romantic Diddy universe where Cassie and Kim Porter also played significant roles. All right, folks, like, follow, subscribe. If you want to watch the video version of this, you can see me in my dirty baseball jersey today. That's right. I'm doing this show essentially as a podcast, so forgive me my outfits if they look horrible. You can go to Radio Misfits on both YouTube or on Facebook. Also, Radio Misfits on YouTube or Facebook. Like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff. You can find me, Pugs Moran. Hi, Pugs Moran. Just Google search me. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. I do a show every day, Monday through Friday, around about 2 o'clock. I call it Talk Radio for Normal Americans. It's just talk radio without any political filter. We have no politics point of view or anything like that. It's just, normal shit. We talk about normal stuff that's fun to talk about. That's every day. It's The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, on Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com. We'll be back tomorrow night. I think we're going to do a panel show tomorrow night. So hopefully my guests will be Headcrack from Dish Nation and James Parker from WBAP Radio here in Dallas. That'll be tomorrow night. Hoping it's going to be a panel show tomorrow night, night 11. Thanks, folks. I'm Pugs Moran. This has been Diddy or Didn't He on RadioMisfits.com.